Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my wonderful co-host and our amazing guest for this week, who was here last week and was that was actually wonderful. So everybody, welcome. It's great to see you all, and we're doing a part 2.
We should go back to horses.
I don't know. Those sound like more upkeep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think next time I'm like in the street and stepping some horse crap, I'll probably seriously, strenuously disagree with that thing.
No, like what I would love is walkable neighborhoods and telecommuting.
The 15-minute city that for some reason people think is a conspiracy to control us all, and really it's a conspiracy to make everything more organized and not base our cities on cars and rather on, people instead, which seems like a fantastic idea to me, but what do I know?
Government shill. You don't even live in a real continent, Mark.
I know. It's completely fake, I must admit. Okay, so hypocrisy, right? We're all hypocrite at least one point in our life. Like, it'll always happen, right? That's number one. Number two, just because you're a hypocrite about something doesn't mean you're wrong, right? So if I say, hey, because I smoked, cigarettes in my youth kind of thing and all the way up to 30-something, if I say, do not smoke, it's really bad for you, I am a complete and utter hypocrite. It's also really good advice, right? And what's the fallacy, Ember? You know it.
That's it. Yes, we have the graphic for that.
You have the graphic for that. Tu quoque. Tu quoque, it means and you also. So the fallacy is if somebody says, hey, you're doing this thing, it's really bad, and they say, oh, you're doing the same thing, it doesn't make the thing you're doing not bad. You're still doing a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing anything per se. I'm not an anti-theist. I don't feel like people should have to justify their beliefs. And Ember, I saw all your comments. Is there really such a thing as a good Christian? And I'm like, I don't care what you think. I just need you to stop trying to kill everyone. People can have their religion and still not try to kill people. And that's the kind of world I want to live in, where I don't just go be stupid, think thoughts, just vote in line with facts and reason.
That would be a good start. Yes. Yeah. No,
I would like that world.
That everyone is ever going to completely agree with me. Like we don't have to agree about everything to be friends. As long as we can generally agree not to murder each other, we can work out the rest.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That's a good start. I would probably go a step further and not cause harm to each other, or at least not intentionally cause harm.
Preferably, but if you cannot kill, we need to just start with the no kill.
I like this view. And this is 34:20, so we've got about 4 seconds that we've seen before.
I'm in the center of the screen. I'm loving that.
Ember, when do you want me to play this clip? Do you want me to play this clip now? We can start off with this. Is it funny?
As everybody knows, I've been digging more and more into the Lisa Littman and what science the transphobes have been throwing out and whatnot. And as I'm wandering around, I'm finding all kinds of stuff like Bailey, who promoted Blanchard's theory about autogynephilia, which has long been debunked, but a bunch of people keep going on and on about it, and so on and so forth. And imagine my surprise when I came across Sarah Hayter from this very debate on one of those shows. And she had a lot to say, but I managed to find a 27-second clip that pretty clearly expresses her opinions on things.
And she's on the positive side on this in this debate. So she's the sexual revolution actually worked. Okay, well, I'll start off with that because it sounds like it might be a bit depressing. So I don't want to end on something depressing. So I'll switch over to your screen if you do want to play it.
All right, here we go.
Before we continue, do I have to go with this pronoun business? Because I don't want to.
Will
it get us kicked off of YouTube?
I will be you. You can be the bad cop, and I'll be. I don't
want to get kicked off of a platform. To be honest, I don't want to. I don't want to say. I don't want some podcast app to tell us. You can't be on this app
because of the podcast app. I use people's pronouns
for that reason.
out of respect for them. I think it's
why.
Wow. Yeah. Why respect people? Why?
Really?
I feel like she's had a bad day and just couldn't be screwed. Actually, What? Why use people's names? I mean, who cares? Who cares what their name is?
Call everybody fuckface.
I really don't understand that. I mean, and I've been as a DEI trainer and talking a lot to the Black community about why they can't use the N-word in the workplace, which you would think would just be like a no-brainer, but kids, huh? Right. And usually what I say is, and I don't usually say the whole word bitch, but I'm like, go home and call your mama a bitch. And then tell me that words are just words and that I am unnecessarily giving it meaning. You have to respect people. They have names. They have preferences. Yeah. Or even like I tell people on Twitter where they were mad that they had to put she, her, he, him in their signature. And I would say to them, what's the difference between Mr. and Miss? If I'm Miss Maya Atkinson, or if you're Mr. such and such and such and such, like I know that all the people moaning and bitching put that on the Christmas cards. What's the difference? I have never once gotten an answer to that. Surprise, surprise.
And I guess I've come from a sort of background of customer service and IT support. So I've been working with customers kind of thing. And you learn about building rapport with people, like how to actually get them. Because a lot of the time when somebody's upset, they kind of don't see you as a person. They see you as maybe a something to impede you. And the same is true the other way around. There's IT personnel that don't see the person on the other end as a person that's having a real problem that might be absolutely screwing up their life. They just see them as an irritation kind of thing. So names help in and sort of our acknowledgement of these labels that we have taken on about ourselves helps in building that rapport. It's an acknowledgement that you see that person, that you're aware that they are a person, they are a unique individual. I am very cognizant of the power of names, which is why, as I said, I've been mispronouncing Maya's name constantly, and I've been so upset about it that I've been too embarrassed to ask. It's been terrible, but we got over that, and we're cool now.
I assumed it was your accent.
What was I saying? Yeah, no, names have this it's a way to build rapport with people. If you say sir and stuff, it still won't build as much rapport as saying somebody's name. If you're like, sir, could you please do this? It's like, look, Greg, could you do this? It will actually bring you closer to the person because you actually are acknowledging the label that they have chosen for themselves. It's very, very powerful.
I'm really cognizant of what I put back into the world. And it really irks me when other people are just unnecessarily putting people down.
We have some experts at pronouncing Titan's name.
Okay.
In your anus. Titan your anus.
You know, I'm not a boss. She will probably go, why are all these people not responding very well to me? And it's like, are you completely oblivious to the fact that if you don't respect people, they won't respect you? You know, and we talked about toxic masculinity in the last one. There's a lot of that idea of, well, I want to treat people like crap, basically. I want to talk to them like crap and lord over them, but they have to respect me. All right, well, I'll start the video running. I don't know. I don't like the look on her face. She looks like she's up to something sinister, but never mind. Keep going.
So, to recap very briefly, on the side saying that the sexual revolution has failed is Luis, who is a red pill, incel-affirming conservative, who wrote a book about it, and Hannah, who we're not sure if she's doing satire or what her deal is, but she has sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing going on with being on the failed side, and then the sexual revolution has succeeded side is an out-of-touch mega billionaire who my kids tell me is actually a pretty decent rapper and an anti-woman feminist.
Any thoughts from the last one, from part one? And it is in the description, by the way, so if you want part one, over on Em's channel, go and see her part one, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there because she does amazing stuff on there.
Yes, please do. So I've been having a little bit of a crisis with subscribers in the past few months. Every time I release a video, my subscriber count actually goes down.
What?
That's weird. That's very weird.
Filtering
are they
out
biggest?
The asshats. Yeah, it's a little disturbing. It's a little depressing, actually.
Yeah.
But I understand that the first entire year I was on YouTube, I was attracting all of the skeptical community, including Pine Creek side of people. Now that I'm a little bit different, the people who are only in it to like troll the Christians or whatever, it's a whole thing. But yeah,
if people don't accept you for who you are, then you probably don't want them on your channel anyway.
And you see the channels around you growing and receiving the respect they deserve, and yours is actually shrinking, and you're like, why though? You know?
I try to do my best, but I think that you're more organized and you have better content, quite frankly. So that is frustrating, absolutely.
In April of last year, March, April of last year, we got into a little bit of a kerfuffle with some bigots. And I think I've said this more than once, that I told all the Nazi apologists to get off my lawn. And they did. I lost 10 or 11 subs, which is so much when you're only at like 180.
Right. That's like 5% of your subs. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah.
That's huge for any 5%. Yeah, it would be huge for anyone. And I stagnated. I just sat there for maybe a good month or two, and then Ember found my channel. And it wasn't until that happened that I finally started to get an upward trajectory. I love you so much for that, and I hate to see you following that path, but it's bittersweet. I love that all the assholes are leaving, and I know that you're going to grow in a better way.
Oh, well, I was asking, do we have any thoughts from the last one? Because I do have thoughts. I think it's interesting that they said the only way that the sexual revolution has failed is because it succeeded, which is such a weird way to put a negative in. And I was thinking about that because I think way too much about everything. You know that about me. And I thought maybe it's because it isn't the sexual revolution that they planned to have, that they basically saw into the future, but it did work to destroy the patriarchal kind of restrictions that did exist before. So maybe it succeeded, but not in the way they expected.
I don't really know what she means by that. She's a little odd, and she has really mixed statements where it's like sometimes she's sarcastic and sometimes she's she's obviously sarcastic, and then other times it's like cringy take.
She also pointed out that it's kind of silly for them to be debating this because all 4 members of the panel and the host are all women on a stage. So in a way, there's not really a debate to have. But on the flip side, as the pro side has pointed out, which is also weird, it isn't complete. It isn't a success either, because there's still so much work to be done before feminism's goal of actual equality is actualized.
My stance is that it's succeeding. Like we're making strides, but we're not where we need to be. I got into making content and being on other people's channels because I understand that representation matters. But just because there's a Black girl in the skeptic community doesn't mean that all latent Christianity has been defeated. You know what I mean? I didn't mention that the last time. I just kind of let it go, but part of it was like kind of cringy. It's like, okay, fine. We let women talk. We let the little ladies into the workforce. Go us. We're not equal. By any objective measure, women are still considered minorities on almost every playing field. We are so much further than we were, but we still have a lot of things to do to move forward. And it bothers me that people are trying to also jerk us back. I don't think it's won or failed. I think we've made huge strides, and that's just kind of where I left it.
I got to say, again, coming from an IT background, you wouldn't. No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. You would believe the sexism that you get in the IT field upon occasion.
I would.
Yeah, no, I was about to say you wouldn't believe it. Then I thought, you probably would actually.
HR,
right. So I remember a technician came in, and they're training new techs. So they're basically sort of technicians in training, which is just your word for somebody that helps out people with technical matters. And they were like, oh, this girl's useless kind of thing, can't do a thing, right? All this negative stuff. And I'm like, hang on, the guys are the same. They're in training. Like, the guys don't know anything. Why are you picking out the girl among, these people and saying, hey, the guys are the same. They don't know anything either. They're in training. But it's almost like their expectation was, if she doesn't know everything from the very start, then she never will. Fun fact, we trained that girl and she became one of the best technicians we had. Way better than the guys.
She didn't have a choice if she was going to stay, did she?
Well, it's more that idea that they will never be as good as the guys. And I guess I'm pointing out that she was better than all the guys in her intake.
And that's my point. Like, we kind of have to be if we're going to stick around. Women don't have the luxury of being mediocre in a man's field.
Well, I think that they should. I think that ought to happen.
I think it should too. I think that I've seen Ember and Sinister Porpoise walk into a stream in a baseball cap and be misgendered, and I'm like, that never happens to me. And I've watched almost every trans woman in the community show up and like just outshine all the cis women and still be called a man. Why do we have to be better than the best to get basic respect?
I've known a lot of women over the years who in the military, in repossession, in practically every field I've worked in, where you go to talk to them, you say, hey, that thing you did, that was really cool, and they go, thanks, but it's not good enough because I have to be better than the very best person here, or I'm not good enough.
No, you're right, and that's a very, very cognizant thing. Would I have been so, look, I told you so, if she was just an average technician? Sure, I would like to think that I would have been. I would like to say, hey, she's just as capable as anybody else, right? And the thing about...
Yeah, but I mean, you have no idea how much you have to fight to prove that, though.
No, I don't. I can only imagine.
Like, men make a mistake, and it's just like, oh, well, people make mistakes. But a woman, you're allowed to make a mistake if you're in your lane. I can make a mistake as a nurse, but not a doctor. Otherwise, it's just like, what are you even doing here? See, I told you. She, you're only as good as your last mistake. I mean, it feels like that when you're in a man's field.
Well, part of that, I think, and I'd love to get your feedback on this, a part of that, I think, women do enable because they're like, well, men just screw up all the time. You know, they put out this thing of men just are useless and do these mistakes all the time. And I think that does empower them in a way to say, hey, well, I'm a man, I can just screw up. I cheated with someone, well, I'm a man, what do you expect kind of thing. I think that is partly reinforced by women, and I'd love to know your opinion on that.
I think can't speak for Australia.
Okay.
And there's no like hard facts because it's a social thing that's going to vary.
Yeah, sure.
Again, the perception of what a man is and what is allowed for him is going to vary from area to area. The United States is more or less an empire, and I certainly see that here. It really, you know, I'm just going to stand on that. It depends on the area, the culture in the area, and the time period, and da 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 da.
Yeah, the culture.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I really think that's the case sometimes. You know, when sometimes it kind of annoys me when women say all men cheat, because it feels like they're empowering that behavior by saying, hey, that's what's to be expected.
They are, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I used to say that too, and I've stopped because I was wrong.
You know, and I've spoken to my wife about it, and she agrees. And you know, I've never cheated on my wife at all. And so it kind of you kind of gets you back up because you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, seriously.
Right.
You know, you see these.
It is, and we see that heavily in the Black community. One of the videos I had come out this month, we've been focusing on Black women, but on my I have my pre-recorded stream that come out on Thursdays. It was talking about how Black women, just due to the shortage of available men in the Black community, are more willing to put up with cheating from their men than other races. One, because there's a shortage. I mean, primarily because there's a shortage of Black men in the community, in any community that a Black woman would find herself in. And two, a lot of Black men are being taken out of the communities. So if you're a free Black man, you have this feeling that you are a commodity, and people have a tendency to do what they know they can get away with. And I'm not even just going to put this on men. It's all people across the board. It's why I'm very hard on people when they're new relationships, new employment, new anything. You need to make your stand. This is what I'm going to expect. And that has to be solidified by 3 months, because after that, you're just you're really just solidifying. And even if it's a cheating woman, you really need to lock down your expectations within 3 months. It's only going to go downhill after that in most situations. And again, I'm not putting that just on men. Women do it too.
Well, that's true. But generally, it is not said in our culture that all women cheat kind of thing. That's, well, I guess there's probably some men that say that.
Everyone cheats.
On my channel, I'm very pro, pro slut. Body positive. Nobody's too fat. Nobody's too thin. We all focus on our health. Beauty is objective, and it doesn't need to be pointed out. We're all beautiful, and there's no such thing as a slut. You know,
but that's different than cheating.
Yes and no. It depends on what you mean, because like Kat Black is a YouTube streamer, and she is polyamorous, and it is interesting. I saw a short she did today where her boyfriend has a wife, and he's very upfront with the wife, and
that's not cheating.
Right. Well, you and I believe that. But a lot of people are coming down really hard on her. Like, oh, you're having sex with a married man. You're helping him cheat. It's like, but the wife knows, and she has a boyfriend.
Right.
We don't care what sluts do. The husband should be only sleep with the wife.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
I know. But that's what I'm saying with body positive and like trying to take back the narrative that there is no such thing as a slut. We need to frame things appropriately. That's
no, cheating is when you have a agreement with somebody to exclusivity in your sexual relations, and you've made that understanding with them, and then you go out and you break that sort of agreement with them. Like we have a social contract to society, I think we do have a relationship kind of contract where we say, hey, this is going to be the nature of a relationship. And don't get me wrong, I've got no problem if the nature of your relationship is, hey, we sleep. If you've got an open relationship, that's not cheating. If you say to somebody, hey, I love you and only you, and I'm just going to be with you till the rest of my life, and then you go out and you break that, then that is what I consider cheating.
Right.
So a breaking of that contract. So I'm not really talking about the sexual relations. I'm talking about telling somebody what your relationship is and then not acting in accordance with it. So that really, I've got no problem with that. Yeah. So
and I love that about you. You know what your definitions are, but you also understand that when we're talking about social contracts, social contracts.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own definition of what things are. I would like to reframe that in this for Americans at least. But that aside, I believe all three of us are on the same page about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel even saying everybody cheats is still giving people license to do it, and then say, well, everybody cheats. It's kind of that nobody says everybody cheats more than people that cheat on their partners.
Exactly.
Right?
Because it's an admission whether it's intended to be.
Right. It lets them off the hook because they can kind of say, well, everybody cheats, so it would have happened to me eventually. So I've preemptively cheated. There's a lot of rationalizations you can make in your mind. So I think that sort of stopping saying everyone cheats and just saying terrible people cheat would be a lot better in preventing them from having that excuse to go ahead and do it. And that's how I feel about it. And, people can feel differently. That's fine. I just believe it's not productive, and it gives people an outlet to say, hey, I can excuse my behavior for this reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't believe, I know this has nothing to do with the stream, and I'll just wrap this up really quick with a bow. I don't think the terrible people cheat. I think the people who have a specific emotional need cheat. And it is not optimal that you don't try to look for a solution to the marriage outside of the marriage. I agree with that, but I think that cheating isn't something that people necessarily do because it's like, well, I'm just a bad person, so I cheat. I really do think it's an emotional need that they're missing.
That's not productive for me to say that. You're right. I'm mistaken. I really should say, hey, only people that, like you said, I think that's beautiful. People that need some kind of, emotional connection that they're not getting, go out and cheat. Yeah, no, I get that. That's absolutely right. So thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I love this conversation. I'm sorry, I absolutely love this conversation. It's wonderful. But I'm going to start the video, or else we're never going to. We are 45 minutes in, and we haven't even played the video. You realize this, don't you?
I do. I love talking.
Audience,
to the two of you, though. I mean, and this is my ish. This is what I do. I love talking about this stuff. Play the video before I keep talking.